We're going to go into a regional breakout session now, where we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about both of these panels and some of the things that we heard and how we can implement these things at a regional level. So I'm going to hand it over to Linda, who's going to tell you about the breakout session.
Thank you, Patrick. So I'm just going to explain. So the breakout is going to be by region. I'll explain regions in a minute. And obviously, we have shared goals, right, and concerns. But by region, there could be some things that doesn't impact the rest of the state. So we thought it'd be good to get by region and have a conversation around, the issues and some goals and how to work together. We're going to have to do that as a state also, a state organization, but we thought it'd be good for regions to have some conversations. So we're going to divide you guys up, and so it'll take a little bit to get to move where you need to move, and we do have facilitators to help the discussion. So the first, anybody from actual Chicago? Ooh, yeah. Okay, you guys are going to be under the eave over here, so where the tables are, so that's where you'll go. And Jackie Haynes, Jackie, raise your hand. And Jess George, they're going to facilitate the discussion. So a couple, just before I get to the next sections, a couple things to remember. So we have some nice paper to write on, and it has the sticky. You cannot stick anything to the walls. That's their rules. So you have to use windows, or if you want to put it on a table. It's just, they just do not want anything sticking to their walls at all. We couldn't get them to agree to that. So just remember that. I'll walk around when we're all set to make sure you got all the equipment you need. Okay, so that is Chicago. Then the Central Illinois, which has a lot of people here, you're going to be in this main room. So you get to stay, and you'll try to move your chairs in circles, whatever is needed. And that group is going to be facilitated by Melanie Mills. Where's Melanie sitting? There she is, okay. And Jody, who you heard before. Jody's back there somewhere. And then also Kara Kelly. So there she is, okay. So anybody from Central Illinois, stay in this room, and you'll have a good discussion. Then the Northwest Illinois Quad Cities, which we put together. It's not a big group. You guys will be in the hallway, kind of where you checked in. There's couches there, we've got chairs, and that's where you can have your discussion. And then, and that is being, let's see, Central, here we are. Melanie Fager, where's Melanie Fager? I know there she is back there. She's going to be facilitating along with Victoria Masters, who I know is here. I don't know where she's sitting. Oh, there you are, right there. Okay, and then finally, so that's that group. And then finally, we have Suburban Chicago. So if you go down that hallway and there's a door that has tables, that's where we're going to have lunch. That's where you guys will go. So you go down the hall, past the bathrooms, go through the door, and that's where you guys are going to be. And you will be facilitated by Candace Davis, who's right there. Bill Davis, no relation. And I don't think is Evelyn here? She's not here. Okay, so you got to listen to the two of them. Okay, and then finally, Southern Illinois. And I don't know, there are some Southern Illinois people here. You also will be in that room. You're just going to have to find like a different section so you don't interrupt each other. But you'll be in that other room. There should be a way to kind of separate. And for Southern Illinois, Stephanie Sabo, who I know is here, there she is. And is Nell Petrell here? There she is, over there. Okay, so they're going to help facilitate that. So the first thing is to get into the correct rooms. You can come see me if you don't remember where you're supposed to go, and then I'll make sure you guys all have the equipment you need. Oh, what time? Sorry, be back here in an hour.
Hey, everybody, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. Okay. Right now, remember when you guys all broke out into groups and you were talking about what your regions were going to do? Well, we want to know what your regions are planning to do. So everybody sit down, have another seat. We would like the people who were leading the breakouts to come up and talk about what your group decided. So everybody, go ahead and sit down. No, it's okay. Yes. Okay, so I think what we'll do is right now I see Melanie up over there, so maybe we'll start out with the Southern Illinois, the Northwestern Illinois group. Okay, everybody. Okay, Northwestern Illinois. Here we go.
Hello, thank you. So we had a very small group. We were the group out in the hallway that you walk past. I think there were about 7 or 8 of us. We had a few representatives from the Quad Cities area, and then a few of us that were from Rockford or greater Rockford area as well. The 2 Indivisible local groups that were represented are both in the fairly new or the reorganizing stages from some past groups. So it was some really interesting discussion. A few of the challenges that we identified during our discussion, so the bulk of our area is either in the 17th or the 16th. And so we talked about Sorensen and LaHood, and we talked about accountability and making sure that both of those electeds are representing our values, and how for both of them that can sometimes not align with our values. Yeah, if you want to. I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna be able to see my handwriting. I feel like I'm holding my own notes in a giant form here. Thank you. So we talked about our elected congressmen not always representing our values. We talked about, as well as some other areas, but being an extremely large area, right? So there are a few other very active indivisible groups kind of between our 2 locations, but not quite as many as in other parts of the state, right? So we've got a lot of area to cover, and a lot of very different needs depending on specific characteristics of each of those areas as well. We also talked about some very specific issues that we would like to continue to talk about because they are greatly impacting our area. We talked about some police brutality concerns, ICE, and then as well as mental health issues. And those are issues in all parts of our state. We all know that. But we're definitely feeling some of those concerns in our area. And then the last thing, and this kind of was an overarching theme as we continued to talk, was making sure that because of the size, because of the number of different groups, because of new groups and established groups, overall communication and that coalition building was a big discussion and focus for us, and I'm sure we'll hear that from other groups as well. Some of our goals and actions are that accountability, and we talked about the accountability not just for LaHood, but the accountability for Sorensen, right? And not just focused on our congresspeople, but those were the 2 that kept coming up in our discussion. So our accountability for all of our electeds, no matter what party they represent, right? And then a variety of really effective and intentional, rallies, protests, and marches, making sure that we're holding those high visibility events, but that we're doing so with intention so they can be the most effective. And again, the number one thing we talked about was communication and coalition building across the areas, across groups that aren't close together, because, our entire area is the 16th and the 17th. Not all of it. I know some other people from Central are going to talk about 16 stuff too, possibly. But that's a large area, right? And it's a lot of mileage, and it's a lot of, we had some great contributions in our group. We were talking about how many media outlets are in that area, right? That's a lot of different cities and a lot of different farmland areas as well. So a lot of different needs. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, hey, by the way, after we get this done, we're going to have a little bit of a wrap-up after everybody gets done presenting. And one of the things we want to also give out is rally signs. See these signs that are up over here? Everyone gets one. So, one, yes. Anyway, so how about, let's have the suburban people. Suburban people, you want to come up and...
Great session. We had a great session. We talked, a lot of people interacted and shared everything with us. We went through, I don't know, we want to talk about the process. Sorry. Yeah, there you go. So everybody contributed greatly. We started going through issues, which are many. And then Bill did a great job, and Rebecca did a great job of writing this stuff down. So what we did, though, is we let everybody have their top 3 vote. Bill, you want to talk about, Bill did all this counting. I loved it.
I'm a kind of just a guy, so I counted very quickly. It was great. By the way, we had 50 people in that room, all with an opinion or 6. So it was really, really great. So Rebecca wrote them down as fast as she could, and we just asked everybody to just kind of fire it out, and they did. And everybody started building on what the next person said. And then the next person started building on it. It was exciting. It was wonderful. And you did a great job. So we asked everybody to do 3 votes. 3 times 50 would be 150 votes. So I think it adds up to 165, but I don't know how many times I voted or you voted. So Rebecca, thank you so much for being our scribe and taking down all the data and everything.
And so after the election that we had today, we ended up with 3 shared goals, 3 top shared goals out of many. One of which is that we would like to foster collaboration across indivisible groups, given that there are so many in the suburbs of Chicago. We know there's a lot of cross-pollination that already happens, and we can build on that. The next one we thought was very important was fighting disinformation, both that affects our community and the more conservative side of the spectrum. And lastly, we really have a pretty strong record up in the burbs of having rallies and protests and sort of community action. And so we want to continue that and really make sure that when we have those actions that everybody leaves with a call to action. Everybody leaves with an assignment and a purpose, and we are open to exploring additional tactics. A potential strike was mentioned, so that is something that people will be entertaining and noodling on, to use the scientific term.
The other thing we talked about, which didn't get voted on really highly but came up a lot, was we would like to all upscale our tech capabilities. So one of the things that Indivisible Illinois could help with is providing resources, even if it's just pointing at national resources, Facebook ads, all the different databases that people could use. So it would be really helpful if Indivisible Illinois could kind of centralize for that. So, anything else, Bill?
It was so cool. Who would have thought that while all of us have the same objectives and goals, that we would have so many different comments and ways to get to it? And I learned a lot. I don't know, what about you guys? It was fun. There is a secret page here called Tactics, but we didn't get to vote on it.
So it's a secret and no one can know about it. Bye.
Everybody wanted to continue to work on this, though. Everybody wanted to continue to work on it. So as a group, rural, local, city of Chicago, etc., we should all continue to work together and build these coalitions and learn how to communicate in our social medias, etc., and drive Trump out.
Okay, you guys are awesome, just like always. Okay, next is going to be Central Illinois. Kara?
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, last time I had the mic, they turned me off. But Jody and Melanie, where's Melanie? Back there, we're our partners in crime, and we were the facilitators. So we filled out 4 of these flip charts of ideas. We did a really good job of brainstorming ideas that were issues, and then we did our dot voting, which was a little confusing at first, but it was really fun to get everybody to come up, put their dots up here, and if anybody has extra dots that you haven't turned back in, let me know. So we came up with our top 3 was on this flip chart. Due process was our winner, Medicaid, and Social Security and Medicare was our third choice. And so those were our top 3. And then we also talked about what made our region, Central Illinois, doesn't sound very exciting, but our region is very unique and special. And we have big universities that we're going to leverage. We have good transportation. We have rural hospitals. We have the state capitol in our region, and we have smart people. I don't know if they were saying like smartest people in our region, but we just said smart people. So those are our success criteria, that we can leverage. And then we talked about how we can help with the state goals a little bit, and then we also brainstormed quite a bit on different methods of communication, and at the end we said, do we want to all collaborate? And we had the biggest group. I think we were the biggest group. And everybody wanted to try to collaborate, even though we had like 50 different tools on the list, and we have no idea what we should use to try to collaborate. But I think we're going to do something. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, and they rock like everybody else does. And actually, since I'm a Central Illinoisan, what can I say? So, okay, next is going to be Southern. Come on. Yeah, keep this here. Keep this here. Though.
Hi, we're from Southern Illinois, so there's a couple groups with us. We have Indivisible Shawnee from Indivisible Monroe, and then we had Indivisible Kaskaskia and some other people from throughout the big region down south to help with us. So our most pressing issues that we agreed is poor representation. We have limited candidates. Not a lot of ours do are challenged both within their own party or oppositional party. So we have that working against us. Number 2 would be actually Medicaid, because we do have we are a big rural area, and that study that came out, 9 hospitals out of Illinois is potentially be shut down. Well, in my boss district down in the majority of Southern Illinois, 6 of those are our hospitals. So Medicaid is definitely a huge contributing factor down in Southern Illinois. So that could affect us. And then immigration and ICE, we do have a big Hispanic population. We're big in agriculture and manufacturing. So those 2 primary occupationals for that too. And also we did say environmental. I know the coal ash issue, it does contribute down in Southern Illinois as well. So how can the share goals? What are 2, 3 impact goals that we can align statewide or even within our own Southern Illinois area? Build common coalition in our area. We are so big down there, so definitely find ways to come together in regards to that. Voter registration, appeal to those younger generation folks, and collaborate with like-minded organizations, such as going to like festivals or anything and set up info tables and collaborate with them. And then what can we also do to help work with each other? Joint events, so simultaneously having rallies and protests. For example, next Tuesday, July 1st, Indivisible Shawnee, Indivisible Monroe County is doing a Bother Post protest. So Indivisible Shawnee will be down in his Murfreesboro main office, and we will be up in Muscuda at one of his satellite offices, and bother him. So try to get other groups, and also as well maybe also other groups in his district, and go to all of his offices in regards to that. That could be an issue. Voting registration events, so simultaneously setting up events that we could register those voters, and then setting up a one communication media like Signal or Slack, maybe have those leaders with the in those groups to be able to communicate more better, and then collaborate. Otherwise, that's all we have. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. You guys rock too. Boy, these are just rocking. Okay, we have one more group, and basically it's last, but it's not the least, Chicago. All the Chicago guys.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Trish, representing the Chicago proper group, and I'm not coordinated enough to drag our thing over here, so I have notes on my phone, which is going to work out great because I can't read without reading glasses. So we kind of started out by making a list of, again, challenges and issues like everybody else that ranged from really short-term things like how do we help our Chicago folks that are being targeted by ICE and by other types of discrimination, to what is the vision for the future, right? So we talked about affordable Chicago, we talked about the environment, we talked about things that at some point we know need to be really important on our agenda. Where we really ended up focusing our time, we actually had a group that we had several young folks in our group, which is really exciting. And so we actually spent some time deep diving on how can we expand and attract more people into the effort, particularly younger people, because this is something that's been a huge concern for us in Chicago. And so we talked about several things. We talked about, first of all, what kind of events, what would get a younger person to show up. We talked a little bit about some of the barriers in terms of they're trying to build their lives and their families, and what impact does that have. We talked about that events, at least to start with, they need to have some element of fun, and that's really important for attracting them. We talked about the fact that that a lot of the young folks think that their peers need to understand a lot more about what they can do, why it matters, why should they show up, why do they need to be engaged. And so we talked a little bit about how to incorporate that. We also talked about the fact that an event needs to feel very inclusive and welcoming from the very beginning. So how do you make sure that when those young people, and not just young people, but when somebody new walks in the door, that they're immediately kind of embraced and brought into the effort and made to feel like they're a part. So we talked about several things that I hope we can implement on that front. Then we kind of shifted a little bit, and like the suburbs, the folks in the suburbs said, we have a lot of Indivisible chapters in Chicago. So we also talked a bit about how do we want the collaboration to work. We already have a Indivisible Chicago Alliance, but we talked about what do we really want that alliance to do? What role do we want it to play? We talked about how can we expand the people that are aware of that alliance and what it's doing. So we talked about what kind of tools we can use, like Slack and things, so that we can open up the communication of that group to a much broader group of members. I think things like Slack are also things that younger folks are a lot more used to communicating on. And so I think we didn't quite come to an exact action plan on the collaboration piece, but that was the other piece that we really focused on quite a bit.
Thank you. And now we're going to give some brief reflections, and then we will have call to actions after that. So I'm going to first welcome up one of the national staff members. I'm going to welcome up Aya to talk about her reflections of the day.
Be quick. Okay, I'm going to read from my list so I can really hit everything. First of all, it was so great being here with all of you today. I feel inspired to see your guys' motivation. Sometimes it can be really hard to do this work, you know, when you guys know, when you feel like you're not winning, like it's really difficult. But just seeing how passionate you all are and how much more good that actually exists, it feels very encouraging. So number one, I want you all to remember that state and local elected officials have significantly more power and impact than you think they do. Two, sometimes a campaign, and I had a lot of conversations with folks after we did our little activity, but I want you all to remember that sometimes a campaign needs to start with ensuring that there's public education and knowledge to make sure that everybody's on the same page. A lot of people talked about miscommunication and misinformation that exists. That just doesn't just exist in terms of fear-mongering. A lot can get lost in translation, right? And then also, one of our goals is to rebuild democracy, and in rebuilding our democracy, we have to acknowledge that not everybody grew up having resources surrounding how the government functions, and that happened for a reason. AKA, if you look at, you know, our rural neighborhoods, our black and brown neighborhoods, a lot of us didn't have access to how our governments work, and that's on purpose so that we don't stay involved. So sometimes our campaigns start with education to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Three, I want to remind you guys to lean on Indivisible National for templates using the resources we already have. So if you go to bluestatedefiance.org, those are all the materials I worked on. A lot of people kept talking about immigration. Somebody even mentioned the whole masking debacle of law enforcement detaining people and kidnapping people while being masked. And we actually just released a resource and CTA on that, targeting your governor, attorney general, and city council on Thursday. So it's a brand new resource that you'll find on bluestatedefiance.org, as well as if you just go to our website and just look up Blue State, a Democrats Safeguarding Democracy resource will come up, which is pretty much a little template for you to use to advocate on the state level. Remember to work from the ground up, so micro to macro, so that you don't get overwhelmed. So think, what does your specific city or state need, not federally, because everything gets tied back to federal. This is all to be used to build up for 2026 and 2028, right? So you're getting prepared to know who to vote for and who to hold accountable on every single level in electoral politics. And then finally, remember that the more people involved in your advocacy, the better. So that starts with making sure all of the groups are involved, connecting regionally. I'm sure you guys have a lot of cross communication happening and a lot of issues that are similar. And then get other people involved. Think No Kings, how many organizations were involved. And yeah, that's all. Thank you so much and good luck.
Okay, as far as my reflections go, one thing is that I've always felt is that everyone should do everything as a collaborative. There should be a hub with all sorts of spokes to it, so everybody is connected. And I think that is what this particular convening was for. So I mean, Indivisible Illinois, in general, the umbrella organization being a hub for everybody's spokes, so everybody can work together. That is my reflection.
It's always hard to be third because it's like, what else do you come up with? So number one reflection is the energy in the room was great today. I mean, there are passionate people, there are just creative people that we should all take comfort in that. We need each other. The other thing that I'll note is that we, as you learn by looking at the panel discussion, our allies, we all have to remember that we cannot necessarily do everything. but we can support things. So if there's groups that we saw today that are really good at pushing back and helping people, you can donate to them. So if you feel like you can't solve that problem, you find the ally that can, and sometimes they just need some resources, money. So don't forget that, the donations, and then we can do the parts that we can do. And then also, when we talked about, all that we have to get done, there are people already doing things that we probably don't know, including within our own groups. So the coordinating among the groups is really important because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I'll just use one example. I talked about I'm in Truth Brigade, Illinois, and a lot of people, I guess, were asking, what the heck is a Truth Brigade, Illinois? So obviously getting the word out that, and this is just social media we do every 2 weeks. So making sure that we're talking to each other, explaining what we're doing, and can people just lob onto that, to use a totally strange word, rather than reinvent the wheel. And then we can get things done and we do it together. So that's my reflection.
Hey everybody, I'll make it quick. So my reflections, y'all are really smart and really creative. So just to echo that. And you all also are just so kind to each other and just have such a collaborative spirit, and you're open to all the ideas that everybody had to share, which was so lovely because we're not going to be able to implement every idea, but we have to be open to every idea, and we have to make room for all different kinds of people in this network. And I want to give a shout out both to people who are new to the Indivisible Network and the people who have been around since 2017, 2018, however long, because we need everybody. And I really think that what we're doing here is gonna be historic. There's never been anything quite like this. People who are getting together to organize to act locally, but also collaborate regionally, statewide, and at the national level with the backing of a national organization that's well-funded thanks to our really generous donors. So, we've got something special here. Thank you guys so much for being a part of it, and thank you for having us.
I will be very brief because I know that I'm one of the ones keeping everyone from dinner. But my reflections are that we are stronger together. And I think that's something that we saw together. That's the purpose of this entire day, is to show the strength of us unified as a state to accomplish fantastic goals. And there are a number of things that we can do here in Illinois. We know that we are lucky to live in Illinois where we have many protections in place. Not only can we continue to build a Trump-defiant state here within Illinois by putting protections in place, but we can also assist the states that surround us that don't have a lot of those protections in place. And that's some of the things that we're going to focus on over the next 2 years. So one of the things that I saw throughout the day, we started with the Blue State Defiance campaign. We're going to be sending out some details for you all on that. We're going to continue this. This is a continued conversation. This is just the start of the conversation. It's not the end of the conversation. So there'll be surveys that are going to be coming out to you all within the next week or so, just on today, on things that you're interested in getting involved with. We know that there are a number of people who are here today who are a part of Indivisible groups. You'll be able to take this information back and share it with your fellow members. There are also people here today that may not be a part of an Indivisible group. There may not be an Indivisible group active in your area, and you may be interested in starting a new Indivisible group. We can assist you with that as well, and we'll be reaching out to you on that as well if you're interested in starting an Indivisible group in your area, or perhaps there's a specific issue that you're interested in that you haven't heard us talk about today that you want to focus on. That's something that we can help you with as well. So there's a lot that we discussed here today. I am very pleased at what I saw. I walked around and listened to a lot of the things that were happening during the regional breakouts, and I heard some fantastic ideas. We as a board are going to go back and we're going to talk about some of those ideas and how we can help you all to implement those ideas. What I want you all to think of yourself, we're just facilitators of the board. You all are Indivisible Illinois. You make up the organization itself. It's all of your groups. It's all of you being active with us. So we do want to give a couple of next steps as well, some immediate actions that we're going to take after this. So there are a few things. So there is a rally that is coming up in a few weeks. It's John Lewis. It's the John Lewis Continuing Good Trouble. That's going to be coming up, so you'll be getting some information on that. We definitely want to honor John Lewis and all of the sacrifices that he made, so we'll have some information on that coming up. There are rallies that are taking place all across the state. We're working with allied organizations on this, and some of us are organizing these events ourselves. We also have a number of voter contact activities that we're doing. So we are phone banking every Sunday, and I know Marcy's going to talk a little bit more about that, the phone banks that are happening every Sunday. We also have our neighborhood Canvas Leader program, and that's where we are going out into our own neighborhoods and we're talking with constituents just about their elected officials' positions. We're also going into some of those more red areas of the state, and we're talking with them just about their elected officials' positions on the issues, and we're doing that in a nonpartisan way. We're going out and we're just telling them the voting record of their elected officials. So those are some of the things that are coming up. In addition to that, we're looking to add people to all of our committees. So I co-chair the Communications Committee as well as the Voter Engagement Committee. If you're interested in educating voters, going out and talking with voters, or helping us to facilitate that, you can join that committee. And if you're interested in helping us with communication, you're interested in helping us to get out emails, you're interested in helping us to continue to grow on social media platforms like TikTok, that's something else that we're going to need help on as well, in building those relationships with the press. So I'm going to hand it over now to Marcy, who's going to tell you some other key takeaways from today.
Yes, next steps. But before I do next steps, I want to thank the organizers from National that are here. It's because of National donating money to us for this is why we're having it. So let's give them a big hand right over there. Okay, I, of course, am going to talk about phone banking. There's something else I want to talk about, too. But as Patrick mentioned, and actually I co-chair both those committees with him, so we do phone bank every Sunday from 4 to 5:30. We are phone banking into the Illinois 12, the Illinois 16, and the Illinois 17, letting them know that letting their constituents know that their member of Congress voted to cut Medicaid and what that means to them and what that means to their district. So if you're interested in doing that, just let me know. I have it's on Zoom, so anybody from anywhere can do it. I have the mobilized signups for tomorrow, because we are going to be phone banking tomorrow, and also next Sunday. The other thing I wanted to let you know about phone banking is starting August 2nd, that Saturday, every Saturday from 4 to 5:30 until the November election in Virginia, we are going to be phone banking for Abigail Spanberger for governor of Virginia. So that's going to be really cool too, and that's going to start in August on every Saturday from 4 to 5:30 on Zoom. So anyway, the other thing I wanted to mention. There is a group. It's an Indivisible group that's in Florida. Surprise, surprise. That has organized something called 50 Days of Shame. Yeah. And okay, okay.
We're July 1st.
Okay. Yes, we are July 1st. Hold that thought, Cecilia.
Sorry.
Hold that thought. It's okay. Good. Okay. So. I have to tell you, I apologize. I've been lax about advertising this because we've been working on this. But this group in Florida, this Indivisible group, wants each state to concentrate on a day of 50 days where that state points to their Republican members of Congress and points to the person in the White House and says, shame, 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 look what they're doing. We have to blast it out on social media. If we would have had more time after this, we could have even advertised going to people's offices and things like that, but just don't have that much time because we were working on this stuff. But those phone banks to the Illinois 12, 15, and 16, that group is amplifying them, even though our day for Illinois is Tuesday, this Tuesday, July 1st. So all of your groups, on all of your social media sites, even if you are not in the Illinois 12, 15 or 16, just blast those Congress people, blast the president, and and just amplify it everywhere on Tuesday. But this Sunday, you can also talk to their voters and let them know that you are unhappy, that they should tell them that they are unhappy with how they have voted on Medicaid. So anyway, so that's my thing, and I'm going to turn you over to Linda now.
So I was told I have to stand here and I guess get on camera. Not my favorite thing. So just a couple things. So obviously there's a lot of things we talked about today. We have to, as an executive board and then with leadership and then beyond, figure out, okay, how do we go forward? So that's going to be a lot of discussion in the next, couple weeks. We can't wait too long. And so, that's something we'll probably do some, I think Patrick mentioned a survey, but it's important that we do not lose the energy that we got here today. So your job is to bug us and say, hey, where are you at on this? And then we have to all work together. There's 4 of us that work very hard together, but we can't do it alone. So everybody's going to have to help, because there's really a couple things that got talked about here. One is, making sure we're holding our representatives accountable, but also, how do we Trump-proof the state? So that's a statewide thing that we have to try to organize and make sure that we are going after our state government. I mean, they're great, but what else can be done? So there's a lot that has to happen after this. This was step 1. And so you'll be hearing from us, and again, your job is to bug us, even though we'll say we don't want to be bugged. So we're going to do our best to get things started. The other thing I want to point out, I talked about the wonderful posters in the back. It is really hard to keep track of all the groups. And so if you hear about a new group or somebody's trying to form a new group, you need to let us know. And I think we got everybody on there, but if you think somebody was missed, let us know that. And I think that's it. And don't forget t-shirts if you still didn't get a t-shirt. And there's rally signs in the back if you didn't get them. And don't go yet, because Patrick has one more thing.
The only thing I was going to say is, everyone please take one rally sign, and share that out at the events and other things that you all are at. But thank you. And if you didn't get a t-shirt yet, please do grab one.
Hey, we also could use some help kind of taking things down.
Yes, because I know that the wonderful servers here do want to leave, so we're going to try to break everything down as quickly as possible and be out of here before 6 o'clock.
Let's thank them too. They did a great job. Hey, the other people I want to thank are right over there. We have 2 people that have been working really hard filming this the whole entire day. We have Doreen and Jim. Everyone give them a really big hand.